Hi, I'm Dallas Boudreaux, and welcome to We Don't Talk Anymore, a podcast about friendship breakups. In this podcast, we will be talking about all the friendship breakups, the messy ones, the chaotic ones, the quiet ones, and all of the ones in between. I felt really drawn to this topic because I've had my fair share of friendship breakups, but I recently went through a very difficult one with a friend of about 10 years. And as I've been moving through the grief of that friendship, it kind of dawned on me that I don't really see people talking about them. I feel like the grief that comes from losing a friend is dismissed, especially in correlation with the grief from a romantic relationship. And I think it's important to talk about this. Why is this happening? Why are we not taught how to move through the grief that comes from losing a relationship that's shaped you, even if it's not romantic? This friendship breakup that I went through happened about 2 months ago, and I'm still hurting. And I just wanted a good place to put that energy. I really didn't see a lot of content specifically about friendship breakups and the grief that comes with it and how to deal with that. We're just expected to get over it. It's the kind of breakup and heartbreak that a lot of people are just expected to get over. And I found myself trying to find ways to cope. And it's weird because a friendship breakup is the kind of grief that you don't really learn about. Like, I've been through big losses in my life. I've been through traumatic breakups. I've lost my best friend, my sister, when I was about 14. And that is a grief that will follow me the rest of my life, a grief that I'm continually learning how to live with. And so I know how to handle big grief, but I feel like friendship grief is just a different kind of grief. I've had many friendship breakups. I've had slow fades. I've had ghostings. I've been the one ghosting. I've had very explosive arguments. I've had friendships that we just stopped talking one day and never really reached out to each other again. One ended in a fight. One ended in silence. One was a really slow unravel. And I want to dive into all of them eventually because they were all different and they all left a really big mark on me. I want to share my story, and I think my story is important, but I also want to share other people's stories. And I feel like if sharing one of my stories can help even just one person feel less alone or feel heard or feel seen, then it's worth it. I think we treat friendships as disposable when they're really anything but. And our society kind of makes romantic relationships the end-all be-all when they're really not. Friendship breakups are not as often talked about as romantic relationship breakups. In our society, romantic relationships are really idolized and put on this pedestal of this pinnacle of success or this big achievement. And there is absolutely nothing wrong in aspiring to have a successful romantic relationship. Everyone deserves that. But I think that tangentially, friendships are kind of treated as disposable when they're anything but. I think my friendships have shaped me way more into who I am today than my romantic relationships. And I think that there deserves to be a space to talk about the grief that comes with losing someone that you thought would be in your life forever. And I think that it's important to talk about all of the friendship breakups, not just the ones that were extremely explosive and toxic, but even the ones that maybe were less dramatic but still sting. There are some friendships of mine that ended not in a crazy blowout fight, but I still think about almost every day. I'm making this show because I just think it's important for everyone to feel like they have a voice, for everyone to share their story. And I think that even if just one person can hear one of my stories or maybe a listener's story and resonate with that and feel seen and heard and maybe a little less alone, then it's worth it. I think the grief that you can feel from a friendship breakup is just as intense, if not more intense, than a romantic relationship. Definitely romantic relationships I've had in my life have helped shape me into who I am, and finding a healthy, happy romantic relationship has definitely helped me grow in ways that I didn't know possible. But I do think, looking back, that my friendships shaped who I was and who I've become way more than the romantic ones that I've been in. Personally, I spent a lot of my teenage and early adulthood, striving and obsessing over finding the perfect partner, like the perfect romantic partner. And I think that kind of takes away from all of the other parts of your life that you have, right? Romantic relationships, while yes, they're definitely important and they have their place, I think often overshadow the importance of friendships, the importance of community. And so I want to shed some light on that and on how devastating a friendship breakup can be. A friendship breakup can be just as, if not even more devastating than a romantic relationship breakup. So what you guys can expect from this podcast is a lot of stories, not only personal stories from me, but from my friends, from listeners, some advice, probably some tears, hopefully some laughs, and really breaking down the anatomy of a friendship breakup, how it got to where it did, how the friendship degraded, if it even did, and dissecting step by step what happened and how to really move through it and let it go. And I want to talk about what's left after. How do we repair? How do we move forward? How do we move through the grief that no one really teaches us how to move through? So I really hope you enjoy this. If you have a story that you are interested in sharing, you can email me at wedon'ttalkpod@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is @dallyboo. Please follow, share, join me if you're interested and, want to share your story. Because just because we don't talk anymore doesn't mean that we don't still feel it. Doesn't mean that we're not still going through it. I think every breakup deserves its space, and friendship breakups don't have a space right now. I've seen specific episodes about friendship breakups, but not a dedicated space for them, to grieve them, to really dissect them and talk about them. So I hope you join me on this journey, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.